Radhe Radhe. Today is Saturday, 27th May 2023, and here we are for this recap video for our Bhagavad Gita Recitation series for Chapter 9. Along with me for this recording is Mummy.
Radhe Radhe.
I'll bring up the screen and we'll take a look at the content we covered. So we were able to get through Chapter 9 verses 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. First up, we shall hear a rendition of all these 5 verses, then learn some Sanskrit vocabulary for our own dictionaries, followed by a brief explanation of each verse, and then one more round of chanting and recitation. So here we are with chapter 9, verse 21 and beyond.
Yeah, thank you, Gagan. And before I start this rendition, let me tell you that this first verse, as it seems, it looks a little different from normal shloka. So this has more syllables, 11 syllables per pada, total 44. So while singing, we are going to sing in a different meter that is called Tristub meter. The normal shlokas, they have 32 syllables and they are sung in Anustubh meter. So you'll see the difference between the tune in this verse and the next verses. Te tam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam Shine punne marte lokam vishanti Evam trai dharmam anuprapanna Gata gatam kam kama labhante Ananyashchintayanto mam Ye janah paryupasate Tesham nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam vahamyaham Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya avidhi purvakam aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha Natu mam abhijananti tatvena taschyavanti te yanti devavrata devan pitrin yanti pitrivrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhya jinopi mam. So let's look at one word each verse. So from verse 21, look at this word Gatagatam. Gata agatam. That means repeated coming and going. It's all the time. We ignorant souls are circling in the cycle of birth and death. Gatagatam. From verse 22, 2 important words. One is Nitya Abhiyuktanam. Nitya Abhiyuktanam means those who are always absorbed in God. And then what does God do? God does Kshemam, Akshemam. That means He protects our spiritual assets. Whatever we have gained in spirituality, God protects that. Verse number 23, Shraddhyanvitaha. That means it is made out of 2 words, Shraddha plus Anvitaha. And that means faithfully. When you pray to God very faithfully. Verse number 24, we will look at the word Tattvena. Tattvena means the divine nature. And then verse number 25, only I could find this word, Pitrivrata. Pitrivrata means those who are worshipping the ancestors, those people who worship their ancestors. So over to you, Gagan.
Yeah, thank you, Mummy. We'll take a look at a brief explanation of each of these verses. So chapter 9, verse 21, the catchphrase here is merit system, though a little different from the one that we all are used to. Here we talk about the merits that are based on our karmas of one lifetime. As Sri Krishna says, celestial enjoyments and pleasures are also just temporary and limited. So yes, some people can get elevated to these celestial abodes, but once those merits are exhausted, one falls back down into this samsara, this circle or cycle of life and death. So even in fact, celestial gods, because they see that we as souls are being kicked around like a football by Maya because of forgetfulness of God. So even celestial gods actually pray to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna to be reborn as a human so that they can strive to correct prior mistakes and attain or seek God realization. So that is how the eternal quest of the soul can then be fulfilled. Next up, we have chapter 9, verse 22. Catchphrase here is provider and preserver. Pretty self-explanatory because, as Mummy mentioned, Sri Krishna says, he provides whatever we lack and he preserves whatever we possess. So the analogy that Swamiji provides is that of a mother's love for her child. When the child is a little baby and cannot do anything by him or herself, then the mother takes care of every single thing, which is analogous to us surrendering to God. But as we grow older, perhaps becoming teenagers and then adults, we take our own responsibility for certain deeds, but some things go right, some things don't. Accordingly, our mothers also will be a little less involved. The love is still fully there, but the involvement in our deeds is reduced. So God again looks at devotees to hopefully offer themselves completely to him so that with that surrender, that love is permanently always there. Swamiji mentions Mamekam Sharanam Braja. That's a shloka that'll come up later. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Chapter 9, verse 23. As a question, the catchphrase here is wrong worship. The idea here is that Sri Krishna says you're indirectly always worshipping him, even if you worship the celestial gods. But then the celestial gods get all their energy from him, Sri Krishna himself. So the example given is that of watering a tree. We've seen that several chapters before. If you water, let's say, the branches or the leaves, such as here, you're worshiping the celestial gods, then, do you actually end up watering the whole tree? No. But if you actually water the roots, in this case, you worship Sri Krishna, you're actually worshiping everyone as well. You water the roots, you water the whole tree, the stem, trunk, branches, leaves. Therefore, as Sri Krishna says, the method of doing so when you worship the celestial gods is wrong. So that's the question here, wrong worship for the catchphrase. Chapter 9, verse 24, as another question, it is the catchphrase realization or rebirth. Again, we choose which one we want or which one we want to strive for. As Sri Krishna says, those who do not realize his divine nature, they must be reborn. So celestial gods, as we have learned earlier, they are not liberated. So they're evolved souls, but they're still not liberated. So how can they grant us liberation from this cycle of life and death? Therefore, it is essential that those with proper understanding, they offer their full veneration, their respect at the feet of God, the Supreme Lord himself. Finally, chapter 9, verse 25 asks a question, which in a way is somewhat rhetorical. We hopefully know the answer. Who to worship? As Sri Krishna says, whoever you worship, you reach their abodes. So if it's worshiping the celestial gods, you'll get to enjoy some pleasures temporarily in the celestial abodes. If you worship ancestors, you'll go to the abodes of the ancestors. For those who worship ghosts and spirits, you'll accompany them to that abode. But only those who exclusively devote themselves in worshiping Sri Krishna, they alone reach Sri Krishna's abode. So as Swamiji says, our elevation will only be based upon the entity who we worship. Therefore, the highest devotees are those who attach their mind to the Supreme Divine Personality. One more time, let's listen to all these 5 verses.
Verse 21. Etam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam akshine punya martyalokam vishanti evam trayi dharmam anuprapanna gata gatam kama kama labhante ananyaschintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् येऽप्यन्यदेवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्यविधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु माम् अभिजानन्ति तत्त्वेनातश्च्यवन्ति ते यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन् यान्ति पितृव्रताः भूतानि यान्ति भूतेज्या यान्ति मद्याजिनोऽपि माम्. So I hope that helps all of you to revise these verses. Over to you, Gagan.
Yeah, thank you, Mummy. As Mummy mentioned, yes, continue studying hard and revisit all this material. As always, these slides that you're seeing, if you look at the description for this video below, the first link there takes you to the portal free, where you'll get all these slides we always share and these recap videos and other reference material in context week by week for those specific verses that are covered. So a very comprehensive package for your continued learning and progress. With that, we look forward to seeing you next week, which will be a new month. So it's going to be Saturday, 3rd June, 2023. Same time, same place, 11 a.m. Central Time, 9:30 p.m. Indian Time for this Bhagavad Gita Recitation series. And for those of you who can, please do join 3 hours earlier. That is, again, same date, 8 a.m. Central Time, 6:30 p.m. India Time. That is for our Bhagavad Gita study series. We're coming to the end of chapter 7 and very soon entering our big 1 or 2 quizzes that we'll have to cover the entire chapter 7 before moving ahead. As always, please study hard and Radhe Radhe. Thank you so much.
Radhe Radhe.